SRT Amplification. Today we're going to look at the progress on the Thordarson PA amplifier that I'm converting into a guitar amplifier, and just kind of an update on what's going on with that. And I'm waiting on a lot of parts and everything, so let's just get to it. Okay, so we have this Thordarson amplifier up here on the bench today, and what I'm going to do is basically strip it all the way down. So all this stuff's going to come off, all the pots are going to come out. If this plate will come off, if it's not glued on there, even if it is glued on there, I may take it off if I can get it off there very carefully. These side strips are going to come off. Basically the way these side strips come off is there's these little retention, see if I can zoom in here. Basically the way these side strips come off, there's these little retention pins right up underneath here, and you pinch them with a plier and push them through the hole. And there's one holding one end over here, and then there's one holding one end over here. So those are going to come off. So basically what's going to happen is everything in this thing is going to get stripped out except for maybe the maybe the transformers. I may keep those in, and probably the sockets. Some of the sockets will stay. But everything else is going to get stripped out. This power cord's going away. All that stuff's going away. So basically just going to strip it. And the plan is to have two separate, utilizing the two mic inputs, have two separate circuits for tone. So one set up kind of like a Fender style tone, and then one maybe like a British Vox style tone or something like that. And so I have two tone stacks. So all this will be gone, and I'll utilize everything I can. Some of this wire, cloth wire, I'll reutilize. Some of these resistor values I'll probably reutilize, but I'm going to take an inventory of everything I have that's in spec, and then I'm going to make a parts list of everything that I need to change the circuit up. And then I've already tested the tubes. The tubes all check out good, so we're good to go there. I haven't checked out the transformers yet, so that's another thing I have to do. Check out the output transformer and the power transformer. Once I do all that, then we'll know we're good to go. A lot of this stuff can be reused. Fuse holder, selector switch. I'm going to have to put in some regular 1/4 inch input jacks, because this has the screw terminal type of input jacks. Output jacks as well. I'll have to put in some 1/4 inch output jacks, and we'll just go from there. And so the next time the video comes back on, this thing will look totally different than it does right now. Okay, so what I found works easier to get these retention clips off. You would think you could just, squeeze these things down like this and push it out, but really when you do that, then you can't get it. You can't push on it to get it out. So the best thing to do is this right here. Let me see if I can come at it where you can see it on this angle. If you just take a flat blade screwdriver, stick it in these two little pieces of wire where they cross, and push in, it actually makes that smaller, and then pull out on the trim on this side, and then it just pops right out like that. So that's the best way to do it. And then to get it back in, the best way is just pull on it with the needle nose on this side as you're squeezing together, and then you can draw it in. So it's a pretty little tidbit right there. So I'm going to go ahead and get the rest of these off, and we'll come back. Okay, so these came off fairly easy, just with pushing on that on these little clips with the screwdriver works really well. So don't lose these clips, because I doubt you'll ever find any more. You could probably fabricate some out of some really stiff wire or something, but basically these things just slide in these little grooves here, and then you line them up and stick them in. So that's what holds this molding on. I'm going to polish this stuff up and get it all nice and shiny, and I'm going to put these in my honey ham bin over here, where I'm putting the rest of the parts I've taken off this thing so far. And continue breaking this down. Now, one thing this thing did not look like it was going to come off even after I got. So what I'm going to try to do is, this thing's almost in pristine condition. There's just a little bit of paint off right here in this area, but I think I can gently get this cleaned up, you know, and tape it off. And that way when I paint this exterior, it won't get any paint on this, so I'll just tape that off. I'd rather do that than try to pull this off and then not be able to get it on there right, or to damage it while I'm pulling it off, so I'm just going to leave it on there. And also another thing I found is this little Dwarf Midget capacitor, which you don't see very often. And there's the specs on that. 450 volts at 8 microfarads. So cool. It was kind of blown out here at the end. A little bit of the wax and paper just come off of it, but then the lead, or not the lead, but the bracket that was mounting bracket came off of it. But I'm going to test this out and see if it works. And I don't know, may stick it back in there, who knows, we'll see. I just found it interesting. Another thing about this little capacitor here, I tried to look it up online, and I would advise you not to do that, because when you put Dwarf Midget on the internet search, a lot of things come up, but nothing about this capacitor, unfortunately. So enter your own risk on that one. Okay, so pretty much the first phase of this teardown is complete. As you can see, I started indiscriminately tearing things out, but then I realized a lot of this stuff is going to go right back. So like your 6.3 volt filament wires I left alone here. Well, I actually cut those, but then I decided I'm gonna leave those there. And then most of the power section over here I kept intact for now, and most of the output section I kept intact, but pretty much stripped all the preamp stuff out of here on this side. Interesting how these sockets, I don't know if you can see it or not, but these sockets are not riveted in. They're actually held in with these little clips. Okay, it's kind of interesting. And I pulled the old microphone outputs out, which were these right here, and they actually the hole is perfect for a 1/4 inch jack, so that 1/4 inch jack's going to drop right in there for the inputs. I'm going to go ahead and leave this phono input on here for now. I pulled the 2 speaker outputs off, and they have a much bigger hole than I need for 1/4 inch jacks, so that's going to take some fabrication to get that to work. I'm going to keep this voltage selector for now, as long as it tests out okay, and this fuse holder for now, as long as it tests out okay. I pulled the 2-prong plug out, so that's going to get replaced. And then I showed earlier that I've already pulled all these outside trim pieces off. Everything's been basically pulled off of here, tubes and such. I've got some general housekeeping to do, cleaning up these transformers and all. And then on the front side, you can see I pulled all the knobs off. On these knobs, or on these potentiometers, I left the ground bus, this common bus that ties them all together, so it kind of allows me to see how they went back on there. But I mean, I could look at the schematics obviously and the values and everything, but anyway, some of these have seized up, so I'm gonna have to take them apart, totally deconstruct them, and go in there and free up the shafts. And then while I'm at it, I'll go ahead and clean up the contacts and everything inside there as well. And then this on and off switch here, something's gonna be done about that. It's probably gonna have to come off and get the back plate cleaned up. and then polished up maybe the knob or whatever, and then get that squared on there a little bit better. But yeah, she's coming around. I've got some parts on order for this thing, and also I have a bunch of parts on order for a speaker cab for this thing, and it is going to be phenomenal when this thing gets mated with the speaker cab that I've got for the, or it's not even a speaker cab, it's a well, I'm not even going to tell you what it is. It's going to be a surprise, but it's basically something that I'm repurposing as a speaker cab, and it's going to fit right on the theme of this Art Deco kind of look on this thing. So stay tuned for episode 2 when we do a little more with this, and maybe look at the speaker cab too, because by then I should have some of the parts for that.